Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right. Just making sure that the stream here catches that audio is working, and then we'll get started. Okay. All right, stream is working. I see there's already a battle going on in the chat. All right, let's get my icon showing up here. There we go. And this guy right here. Boom. Okay. Should be able to see my screen here. All right. Live. All right. Thanks, Eddie. Okay. Gonna make this real casual, guys. You know, I kind of had this brainchild a couple weeks ago. I thought it might be fun to get together as kind of a community and maybe share kind of our thoughts. I thought about just making it a completely open format and just having people call in to talk about whatever they want. Maybe we'll get there. But I think for today, we'll kind of have something a little bit more structured than that, and see how it goes. And hey, if it works and people enjoy it, and maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it again. Let me just talk about a couple things real quick here, just kind of housekeeping. Once again, we're just going to establish the same rules as we had on the previous live stream. So the rules are, number one, respect. Just respect each other, respect members of the community, victims. It's okay to disagree. That's fine. A little bit of argumentation, so long as it's respectful, is fine. Hey, it's okay to disagree with somebody's opinion, but if you attack the person behind the opinion, might have a problem with that. And then the other rule is just to not break any of the YouTube's community guidelines. If you're not familiar with those, what those are, they are in the description of this video. There's a link. You can just click on it and review them. You know, it basically just has to do with bullying, impersonation, all kinds of fun stuff. So just don't break those and we should be fine. So the format for today, the screen looks really blurry on my screen. Is the screen showing up well for you guys? I might pull it up here on another device as well. I know we're probably on a little bit of a delay here, so just let me know if the screen is blurry on your end. Looks okay. All right. I don't know why it's blurry on my end, but yeah, it's blurry for Chris. Let me see if I can check something here. If the screen is looking blurry, go into your quality settings. This is what I did, and just change it to the max quality setting, 720p. That fixed it on my end. I don't know why it defaulted to low settings for me, but might have done the same for you, Chris, and maybe anybody else. Body says it's blurry too. Yeah, go into your quality settings and just bump it up to the max. I don't know why it's defaulting to the lowest. It seems kind of weird. When I minimize, it's blurry. Eddie, you're a funny guy. Don says he's seeing it fine. Okay. I just take the totality of the circle. Oh, okay, I think 67 Fox Charlie is speaking about something else. Okay, now that we got the rules out of the way, let me just jump up to the top of the chat here. Truth Seekers United asked me a couple questions here. I just wanted to answer those. They said, how do you archive and Depp know each other? And what is each of your interest in this? That's a good question. So I met Las Vegas Shooting Archive, aka Ramirez, through the map project, Vegas Shooting Map here, which I'll pull up. It's a project that I created and then invited others to join along with. Actually, a couple of people here on the stream are as part of that project as well. Las Vegas Junior Arcade came recommended to me. I believe that's how he came to me. It came as a recommendation for that project from, I believe, Mr. Burgundy. So that's kind of how I met him. Sleep Depp and I know each other through UFO Hunter UK. He introduced us to work on something that Sleep Depp was working on, which was trying to determine a time in one of the fit photos based on the shadow of the towers here. These little towers, not little, they're giant towers actually, but these Ferris wheel towers. So I worked with Sleep Depp on that, and then kind of been associated ever since. The other question Truth Seekers United asked is, they said, just wanted to know because it seems odd you and Archive pop up and you guys seem to be the closest out of the community. Yeah, we are pretty close, I guess. As close as, yeah. I won't, yeah. He's a good dude. That's all I'll say about that. So now that we've gotten through that here, I just want to pull up the questions. So the way we're going to format this here, I'm going to post the link here in just a moment to the Hangout. If you want to join, you can use this link to join the Hangout. You can copy and paste it. I believe, I've never done this before, but I believe you'll come in and your video and audio will be muted and turned off. And then I can kind of choose when to bring you in. And then we'll go through the questions here. The questions. I also added a bonus question, which is anything you'd like to plug, like any YouTube channels or Twitter accounts, anything else that you'd like to add. Just want to give everybody an opportunity to plug what it is that they're using or, favorite channels. It doesn't have to be Vegas related. But yeah, that's the bonus question. So let me pull up. Let me arrange my windows here on my other screen so I can actually see. Be able to see the. Okay, it doesn't look like anybody's connected yet. The other option is if you don't want to connect via the Hangout call, you're welcome to just type up your answers to the questions and then I'll read them out on stream. Yeah, 67 Fox Charlie says it was the easiest thing in the world at that time for Paddock to pull this off. I mean, yeah, I think that's been demonstrated pretty well. Like Mike Turber kept going up and down those service elevators, right? And now I think there have been implemented higher standards as far as room checks go. But at that time, what he tried to pull off was relatively easy. I think that him being a high roller in Mandalay Bay greased the wheels for sure. I don't know if you or I at that time would have gotten away with that, but him already having an established relationship with them probably gave him a couple free passes where I wouldn't get them. Yeah, I agree with Don. Well, I think what Don is saying is, hey, if it ends up being that the official narrative turns out to be the truth, that he won't be upset. I agree with that. I mean, my focus here is Eddie, I think you just tried to call me through Hangouts. I think you have to click on the link. Let me know if the link's not working, guys. But back to what I was saying, yeah, if the official narrative turns out to be the truth, I'm fully prepared for that as well. Like I won't be upset. I just want the truth, and then the truth will set us free. You know what I mean? I think that it will give us at least a plan of action, and we'll be able to hold the authorities accountable for making sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again. Making sure that the right things are in place. There's just at this point, I'm not ready to sign off on any one theory yet. There's just too much still. There's too many question marks for me still. All right, I'm thinking the link might not work here, so let me try again. That's the link to the Hangouts. I'll also put it in the description of the video here. I'm just going to edit that real quick. Turns out nobody can connect. This might be a bust, but I'm hoping that's not the case. All right, if you refresh the video, there should be a link to the Hangouts in the description of the video as well. All right, looks like somebody's connecting. Hello.
Oh my God, it's a sophomore.
I don't know who that was. That was awesome. I feel like I just got super trolled. That was crazy. Was that Danny Diesel? I don't think so. It just said Danny. Maybe it was. That was funny. I thought I had my settings to where it wouldn't bring them in automatically, but let me check that, because that did not work. As guests join, hide their audio and video from my broadcast. Yes. New guests in my large. So that might have been. Did everybody see Danny on stream, or was it just me that could see? Maybe I have to keep this screen up. Yeah, slow mode is activated. All that means is that you just can't spam the chat. You have to wait. I think it's set to 30 seconds right now. So if you type a message, send a message to the chat, it's going to be 30 seconds before you can send another one. Danny Diesel, that wasn't you? Okay. All right. And did you guys see that person connect? That was kind of hilarious. MF, I think you're responding to an earlier part of the stream. You might have to skip to live.
I sent Lily and redemption and relation and releasement and redemption.
Oh, hi, Eddie.
Well, hello.
It sounds like you can actually you could see who connected, right? Okay, that was strange. So I don't know how this is going to work.
I think that was Mary D. originally.
It said Danny on the screen, and it was a child's voice. Okay, let me see if I can get to, because I think I have to stop sharing. There we go.
Let me turn my other device down.
All right, so first up, you are the first one.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for doing this. Nothing much else. I don't quite agree with the narrative, but if the narrative comes to be true, so be it. But I think we need a whole lot more information before I go down that road. I'm so far from it at this point, it's not even funny.
It's in my Millie in redemption, and I could hand me a cup of water.
I don't know.
Say what?
I don't know how to stop that. I'm gonna try to figure it out as we go here, but we might just have to do with it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Okay, so
I think, is that Lombardo?
it might be Lombardo trolling us.
Joe, join us, buddy. Come on in, you big sissy.
That sounds like his voice, right?
It kind of sounds, a lot of whining going on there. It sounds a lot like him to me.
All right, well, let's just go through the questions if we can, Eddie. So what is your name? I guess is the first one.
My name is Eddie Schmitz. I'm not afraid of my last name. I don't have your list in front of me anymore because I'm on a separate device in order to do this. So run it through for me and we'll go through it.
Yep, I'll just read them off.
Essence by complete intention and my by retention.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Joe, come and see me. That's cute.
Lombardo, yeah. Okay, so question number 2 is, where are you from?
I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been in this stinking town since 1962. The pit of hell, as I commonly refer to it.
Gotcha. And Sin City, right? And then and question number 3 is, how did you get involved with researching the Vegas community?
Wow. That's a hard question. That night.
But I'm not careful retention. But
Joe, go back to sleep.
I muted him.
My next door neighbor was there, and I was watching the news that night, and it was like everybody else, I guess. I was down there the next day at 3 o'clock in the morning, walking around with my dogs and thinking I was going to be helping somebody. It wasn't like that at all. It was just a nightmare of an event. I spent a lot of time down there a few days afterwards. Didn't even think to take a picture. I was not in any way, shape, or form anyone who was an investigator or even thought about a conspiracy theory. Heck, 6 months prior to that, I lived on top of a mountain. Only time I checked my cell phone is when I had service. I didn't care. And today I can hardly leave it. And it's just changed my whole life. My next door neighbor was there. I've met a lot of people who were there who suffered greatly. And it's just, I just can't comprehend how anyone can say that this didn't happen and they're all crisis actors. That's just the most ludicrous thing I ever heard of. Yeah. And I was seeing a lot of that initially, and I was like, I have to prove those people wrong initially. And then when the sheriff started talking about, just one person and this and that, and I'm like, when Corey Langdon's video came out, that's what sold me. I left my house as soon as I heard that video, and I went to the nearest substation to play it for the police, and they didn't want to hear it. Then I went to the Metro headquarters because the substation guy was like, he didn't want to hear it. And there was a lieutenant in the parking lot. The Clydesdales were out there that day, and it was a big to-do. I pulled up on my bike, and I pulled up to a captain who was out in the parking lot running tape. And I talked to him, and I pulled that video. I pulled my phone out, and I said, I'm going to prove to you there was more than one shooter.
Uh-huh.
And when I pulled my phone out and turned that on, I swear,
your clitoris.
Joe, come and see me, buddy. I got something for you. When I pulled my phone out and this cat, I hit play, I swear to you, Weg, I have never seen this look on anybody's face. It was as if I was going to show him his child being raped. He covered his ears, turned away, and I thought, what the hell was that? I put my phone away, and he turned back around, and I looked at him, and I said, that's disgraceful. He said, what is? I said, what the sheriff's doing to that stripe on your badge, that black stripe? I said, he's disseminating that friggin' officer and everybody else who died in that. I said, this is nonsense. You know it just as well as I do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what started it for me.
Gotcha.
I don't want to take up your show, my friend.
No, please. Yeah, it was a great story. Thank you, and it was very concise. So thank you. Yeah, I think it was great. I think that length of answer is just perfect. So number 4 is, what is the leading theory in your mind? Is it the official narrative or some other theory that you're leaning towards at this point?
Well, for me, for I guess it's been almost 11 months now. No, it's been 11 months. Oh my gosh. I spent 8 months inside that concert venue and inside the hotel. And then finally, I mean, I remember watching Aurora do an interview inside of Planet Hollywood and Renee Downs do an interview inside the Bellagio, or from the Bellagio. That's where they were respectively that evening. And that was very early on. Tracy Binns did one interview, and I don't recall. I think Aurora did her own video, and I have tried to find that young lady, but I can't. She was the wife of a veteran, and she lived on Fort Bragg. And this woman knows gunshots. Renee Downs' husband is a 23-year, highly decorated Marine vet. He knows gunshots. He threw his wife to the floor, and in that story, I'm like, something went on. And as soon as Bat 6 came out and they released those 911 tapes, I immediately went to what happened an hour after the last shot fell upon Route 91. And I only say that because at the time, I wasn't entirely sure the shots came from Mandalay Bay or from Stephen Paddock.
Yeah, are you still there, Eddie, or did we lose you? Eddie, I can't hear you. So if you're still there, you might need to reconnect. We've got one more question for you and then a bonus question. Yeah, so I'm following along here with what 67 Fox Charlie is saying. I mean, you can say what you want about the sheriff. You can show him respect, disrespect, whatever. I think that the video, the body cam video with the cop, with the officer, LVMPD officer, saying that if he dies, he doesn't want Sheriff Joe Lombardo at his funeral, and he doesn't want him handing the flag to his wife, kind of says it all as to how many, I won't say many because that would be speculation, but at least how some of the LVMPD officers feel about Joe Lombardo. I think that if you ask a lot of the public in Las Vegas, they feel the same way. All right, I think we just had somebody else connect here. Who's on the line? Eddie, you're back. Eddie? I can kind of hear you.
Hey, Weg, that's me. I got kicked off or something happened there. I ended away. Yeah.
That was weird. It went mute. Okay. Well, what did you want to finish your finish what you were saying about the leading theory for you? Eddie, are you still there?
Yeah. Now we. Yeah, my leading theory was this town was under attack at 11:15, between 11:15 and 11:17. It's a delay. You're going to have to wait for me. I don't know why this is happening.
Well, that's fine. Yeah. So, okay. So the shootings reports after 11 o'clock, like what Renee Downs.
Leg, are you still there? I'm sorry, but I hear myself in the background, and it's about a 15-second delay.
Yeah, if you're watching the stream on a different device, you might want to mute that.
Right, and then it's off. Actually.
Okay.
The device is off.
All right. Well, here, I'll just give you the last.
Better, Weg. Can you hear me now?
I can hear
Live?
you. Can you hear me okay?
Still delayed. I'm going to get off so I don't disrupt your show.
Still delayed. Okay. Eddie, if you can still hear me, why don't you just type your answers to the last couple of questions in chat, and I can just read them off. They were question number 5 is, what else would you like to share about the Vegas shooting for others? And then the bonus question is there anything you'd like to plug, or you like your own YouTube channel or any of your favorite YouTube channels or other resources? So if you want to just answer those in chat, we can all read them there. Brian, I think you had connected at one point. I put you on mute because I was still talking with Eddie. If you want to reconnect, be happy to run down the questions with you. And if anybody wants to put their questions in the chat window, the responses to the questions, I will pull them back up on the screen here, and feel free to type in your responses in the chat window, and I'll paste them on the screen. Let's see if I can do that here. And there's the questions. Yeah, but back to being critical about Joe Lombardo, I think that, you know, he's a sheriff, and I'm sure that he's done some good things. But when it comes to the Vegas shooting, I don't know. You know, we'd have to have some the victims here on the line to see how they feel about it. I'm sure there are some that have felt that he, you know, did a good job. I'm sure there are some that didn't. You know. So MF is responding to some of the questions. So we've got. MF's name is Martin Field. All right. Do you prefer to go by Martin Field or MF? I always just call you MF. And from St. Louis, MF is Go Cards. I'm from Arizona. We have cards there too, but not the same ones. Different sport. Yeah, Eddie, I don't know what happened with the stream, man, but see how MF is typing his answers? You're welcome to do that with answers to question number 5 and the bonus question if you'd like, and I'll post them up here and read them off. Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. First time doing this, I knew there was a chance of things going a little bit haywire, but you know, is what it is. Roll with the punches, as they say. If there's anybody still around on this investigation that hasn't learned that yet, I'm surprised you're still standing, because man, there have been some punches throughout this thing. Brian says, I'll join back up in a bit. Okay, we'll keep an eye out for you. Yeah, and just a reminder, Brian, and for everybody else, if you do connect to the live stream or to the Hangouts link, and there's somebody else on there, we'll just I'll just mute you, but just hang out and stay connected, and we'll get to you, I promise, as long as you stay connected. I'm going to share the link here in the chat again, in case anybody didn't get it. There's Brian. I think, oh, it's Eddie. You're back. Are we still on delay?
Are you there, brother?
Yeah, I think we might be on a delay again. MF's answer to the third question, how did you get involved with researching the Vegas shooting, is October 2nd got involved. Heard maybe drill, fake, wanted to verify by research because I believe people really died. Oh, okay. Interesting. Eddie, are we still on a delay or can you hear me?
I can hear you fine now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Wow, that's a whole lot better.
All right. We can actually have a normal conversation. All right. So I think we were on question number 5 with you. So what else would you like to share about the Vegas shooting for others? Is there something you think people aren't paying enough attention to? I mean, you did mention the shooting reports after 11 p.m., but is that the only thing, or are there other things you think people are kind of ignoring that you'd like to call attention to?
There's so many things. I mean, where to even start? There's just so many things. I know, in my opinion, this town was under attack between 11. I was clearly under attack during the Route 91 festival. But something happened between 11:15 and 11:17 p.m. on multiple locations, on multiple levels of multiple hotels at the same time. And it moved north, and it moved rapidly. And the 860 phone calls, the 911 calls that were missing are key to this investigation. I know for a fact that 2 phone calls are missing from Renee Downs. I mean, I know exactly what time her calls were made, how long they took place, and that she wasn't put on hold in her initial call. And that happened right after the sheriff's first briefing at 1:30 a.m. It was 1:36 a.m. when she made that phone call. She was on the phone for 7 minutes with 911, and there's no record of that. That's not there. There's a lot of calls in that general vicinity, but her call's not there. I mean, I've listened to all of them. And
yeah, it's interesting because, according to the court reports stated that there were 2,000 911 calls, and we have to date received less than 1,200. So to me, that means we're still owed about 800 plus 911 calls. So they haven't, the LVMPD hasn't come out and said we're done with the 911 calls. So there's still a chance, but we haven't seen those in well over, I think, 5-6 releases, maybe even more.
I completely agree. Another thing that's really bothering me is in the past month, in the last month, in August, we had 4 journalists, investigative journalists, television journalists, 2 from Fox 5 and 2 from KSNV Channel 3, leave the Valley, quit, and walk away from their jobs. 3 of them I know left their contract early. The 4th one, I think her contract was up and she moved to Tennessee. But those 4 people, Christy Wilcox, Nathan O'Neill, Adam Herberts, and the last female left, I don't even remember her name, but they all did some good work, and they were working on some interesting things in the background. Mm-hmm. I know this because I spoke with them often. So there's some issues there, and they left because not solely for Vegas, but Las Vegas shooting had a large part in their leaving town and walking away from their jobs. In fact, I know for a fact Adam Herberts was looking in Canada for work, for crying out loud. And
he wanted to get out of the country.
That's a darn shame. That is a darn shame. Adam did a lot of good work. He was an arrogant son of a gun, but you kind of need to be in that job, I guess.
Yeah, I interacted with him a little bit on Twitter, and I think he was doing the best he could. You mentioned 3 reporters. There's also Doug Papa that went silent in July.
And you would think with the Locke report coming out, he would have been all over that. Right. And not a single word.
Yeah, he fought hard. He fought hard for that to get that out.
And yet we haven't heard a word from him. It's disturbing to me.
Yep, I agree.
Did the FBI knock on his door as well, like they did several others?
Makes you wonder. They haven't knocked on my door yet, so maybe that means I'm working for them. I don't know, but
I think we're not important enough.
Well, hopefully that's
to be honest with you.
I would like it to remain that way, just like
right.
And be not important enough, at least for the time being. Oh geez. Okay, well, go ahead. Were you going to say something else?
There's another thing that was bothering me. Can you ask the question again, because it was on the tip of my tongue and now it's with my
what else would you like?
Smartness.
What else would you like to share about the Vegas shooting for others? And is there something you think people aren't paying enough attention to?
Yeah, definitely not paying enough attention to what happened an hour after. I know that what happened inside that concert venue, for me personally, I can't watch another minute inside that venue. It makes me sick, ill, violently. I just can't do it. I can still do the rooms, but I can't watch inside that venue. I spoke with way too many people who were involved in it, but by the grace of God, we're able to come home they'll never be the same again, ever. I mean, for anybody who's been in combat, dude, you prepare for this crap deeply and train for it, and when you're in it, you're prepared for it. But at a country concert, having fun with your friends, and to have this just horrific scene take place is just beyond comprehension for me, and it's very difficult for me to see it repeatedly. I wasn't even there, and I had nightmares about it for 3 weeks after I finally stopped looking at it. I just kept seeing the same scene over and over again, and I won't describe what it is because a very good friend of mine was in that spot, hiding under a table, and it freaking kills me to think about that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm highly disturbed by watching those videos now too. I mean, just even hearing the gunfire and thinking about, very many of those shots took lives, you know what I mean? And took, and destroyed lives, even those people that lived, and that became victims, or even those people that were traumatized. So yeah, it's, I think as time has gone on, it's become more and more disturbing. My heart goes out to the victims for sure.
It infuriates me that Hancock stood down there and just listened to that happen. Buddy, I'll tell you what, if I was armed with my frickin' knife, I would have ran to that room and kicked the door down just to interrupt it. It is so not right. It's just not right. I don't understand that. That was the hardest thing I had to deal with, was not being there. Because this is what I've always done in my life, is help people, and I wasn't able to do that. It just...
That's the way I feel too, is like, I'm a huge fan of music. I go to a whole bunch of concerts, not very many country concerts, but, those kind of formats, multi-day festivals. And I wasn't there, and you weren't there. And I wish that I could have been there and helped in some way too. But the way we can help, I think is, by not giving up on finding out what happened, you know what I mean? And it's not just for the victims, although it is very much for them. It's for everybody. Everybody, we as a country, as a world, in fact, we're, affected by this. So in some larger sense, and I don't want to devalue the victims that were directly affected, but in some sense, we were all, victims in a way, I guess.
There's one other thing that really disturbs me, is that they say that Paddock was mad at the MGM, and that's why he did this. Well, if he was mad at the MGM, why was he searching out Life is Beautiful? Why was he searching out the concert in Chicago? That makes no sense. It doesn't correlate whatsoever. Zero, none, nada. And
yeah, I agree.
It just doesn't.
It's just another one of those things. Well, there is no perfect theory yet, and that's, I think, what bothers me still, is that even the official narrative doesn't match up. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. Well, I guess it does in a way, because they've given themselves an out saying, we don't know what the motive is. So, and not only that, they've said, we give up. Basically, Joe Lombardo said, we don't think there's ever going to be a motive discovered. You know what I mean? And that's just unacceptable for me, I think.
Why does the FIT report, preliminary nor final, not mention in any way, shape, or form DHS? In one of your last videos, in the last batch, there's a black officer in camo walking down the hallway in the Four Seasons, opening doors. That man is a member of the QRT for DHS. I spoke with him for 25 minutes at the high school shooting scenario that took place here at Canyon Springs High School, where my daughter went to school. And he's a very cool guy, but he's DHS. He works for Metro, but he's in DHS division. So I don't know, they were the very first vehicles on scene, and they were some of the very first vehicles to leave the scene. They went northbound on the strip. I've watched so many videos watching what happened north of Mandalay Bay. They were the very first vehicles to leave Mandalay Bay via the Lexor Road in between Mandalay Bay onto the boulevard, hauling butt going northbound. Not because nothing was happening, I promise you. Why was there a SWAT officer asking a civilian inside the Tropicana at the bell desk to call 911 and have security come. Trust me, this cop wasn't calling dispatch to have the Tropicana security officer come to see him. He's asking for Department of Homeland Security because crap was going down there. One of the very important things that I found was Joe Napoli talking about he saw bullet casings at the back of the Tropicana Hotel. And one of the interviews I did with people when I did hit the ground and start investigating this thing myself, I talked with a gal who lives as close to this thing as you can get. She is the closest apartment there is to Route 91 Festival. And she saw casings, but they weren't where Joe saw his. They were underneath the porte-cochere at the valet, where the one CCTV we have from Mandalay Bay zoomed in on the guy on top of the valet. That's where she saw these rounds. And there's going to be a video coming out about it soon. Hopefully he does it soon, because I don't have that capability yet. Yeah,
Great.
There's just some crazy stuff that went down, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And you spoke about Hendrix too. I know that I don't know. I don't think he'd mind me sharing this, but Las Vegas Shooting Archive is preparing a sync that will kind of further show what happened with Hendrix and what was going on outside. So that's to look forward to. It's really awesome. I've seen a little clip of it. So keep an eye out to his channel for that.
He's doing great work.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Okay, and then the last bonus question is, and it's a bonus, so you don't have to answer it if you don't want, but is there anything you'd like to plug? Or is there any YouTube channels you'd like to mention that are your favorites, other than Las Vegas Shooting Archive, who we just mentioned and are both, of course, fans of?
I thoroughly enjoyed Lady Justice Zebra 20. That was an incredible video. Mr. Burgundy did a video on that, and it's spot on. I had seen it before, and I'll tell you what, I don't know who did that video, but they took a lot of time to put that together. If someone in this audience has not seen it, I implore you to take the time and spend 50 minutes and watch this, because it's worth every second of it. I don't see anything there that's incorrect. It's just factual-based info. I thoroughly loved it. I do have a crappy little YouTube channel, and go to it if you want. My name is Eddie Schmitz. But yeah. And my friend, thank you very much for everything you do. You and Ramirez both are incredible partners in this. And I have one thing I beg of everyone.
Sure.
Please, guys, our community is getting torn apart. We're all here for the truth. We're all fighting with each other because what Metro is showing, in my opinion, what Metro is showing us isn't giving us any information anymore. It's just nonsense because they're clearly editing the tapes. Guys and gals, and there's a bunch of you, we're all good. We're all good. Let's do this together. Together we're better than we are separate and fighting. And that's what they want to see. After that, God bless, Godspeed, and let's find the truth, guys and gals.
Thanks, Eddie. I agree 100%. Appreciate it. Thank you for calling in too and participating and being the first up. Sorry for all the technical difficulties that occurred there. Appreciate it.
All right, my friend. Have a good night.
Yep. Take care. All right. Next up, Brian. Is this? Let me see if I can unmute you, Brian. I can't unmute you. Are you able to unmute yourself? There you are.
Yeah, you can't unmute people. I have to do it myself, unfortunately.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, how you doing?
Welcome, welcome. Good. How are you?
Good.
Is this the Brian?
This is the one from chat.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Well, let's dig into a little bit more about you, and then we can hear your answers to the questions that way, I guess. Welcome. Thanks for calling in. I do appreciate it. Sorry about the putting you on mute earlier.
Oh, no thing, man.
All right. So question number one is, what is your name? We already know Brian. Is there anything else you'd like to share more? Anything more you'd like to share about that, or?
Not really. I mean, that's my name. My name's right there for everybody to see. That's my real name. many people have tracked me down online. So, anyways, yeah, no, that's me. I also have a channel. I guess I'll move the last question up front, but I also have a channel here that I run. I recently took all my content off of it and moved it to another channel because they dinked my live streaming, but it's back up now. So
Awesome.
I'll be putting more content back up on it.
Great. Yeah. And if you want to link it up or send me a link, I can put it in chat. I don't think you can put links in chat but if it's just under your name, just type something in chat. I just type your name in there so people can click on it if they want.
Yeah, they can, when I go back in the chat there, I can, people can click on the name or whatever.
Great. And then where are you from, Brian? You can keep it as general or specific as you want. I mean,
I'm
you're
Phoenix.
from Earth. Okay, Phoenix. All right.
Yeah, I'm here in Phoenix.
I'm from Scottsdale.
Nice.
Great.
Nice. I'm out there working all the time.
Awesome. Yeah, was in that. I've been in that area for a long time, since 1995.
Nice. What brought you to Phoenix?
My family moved there before high school. So yeah.
Nice.
So that tells you basically what my age is too. All right. And then question number 3, how did you get involved with researching the Vegas shooting and when?
For me, I got involved with it like when it happened. I had an employee there, and he called me the next morning. So it was very strange, and that's really, he is part of the reason that I don't buy the one shooter theory. He's got automatic weapons. He knows weapons. He was military, and he definitely assures me there was more than one shooter.
Yeah, it's interesting as we get more and more of these body cam videos. You know, you hear a lot of that. You know what I mean? You hear even in the most recent release that came out yesterday. There's one clip in there of the person saying, no, it was somebody 100 yards away from me. They're pointing like I was the back of the venue and they were shooting from this direction. Yeah, it's interesting. You definitely hear.
It is. And, a lot of people say, well, these people don't know what it's like to be shot at, but he does. So it's, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. You watch the videos and none of it really makes a lot of sense. There's a lot missing from them. It doesn't make sense why there's 30-minute clips and then 2-minute clips and 30-second clips.
Yeah, there's I can answer a little bit of that just because I've looked a lot into the body cams and how they work. So there are 2 models, and this is for everybody too, and not just you, but there are 2 models of the body cams. There's the Axon 1, and actually Axon used to be a Taser, which is headquartered there in Scottsdale. I'm sure if you've driven along the 101, you've seen their headquarters. But there's an Axon 1 model and an Axon 2 model. Axon 2 is the newer of the 2 models, and those are the body cams that you see with the timestamp in the upper right. Those are Axon 2. That's like kind of how we're able to tell. They're also filmed in higher resolution. And they'll span for as long as the video records. So if it's a 3.5-hour clip, that video will actually export at 3.5 hours. However, the Axon 1, the older model, those don't have the timestamp. They're filmed in a smaller resolution, so they're a little bit shorter of a frame. They're not as wide. And it chops the video into 30-minute segments. So what's frustrating about this? Yeah, what's frustrating about this is that it's chopping up those segments, but the LVMPD is not releasing them in that order. So Las Vegas Shooting Archive has gone and actually started to fit some of them back together. And, there will be one from release 6. And then the clip, the 30-minute clip after that one will be in release 9, or something like that. It's just an example, hypothetical, but they're doing it in almost the most frustrating way possible. There's no logical reason that I can think of that they would do that, except for basically to piss us off, to make it hard for us to kind of fit everything together. It's very frustrating.
That's actually explains a lot to me though, because I was watching that channel's videos. where they do the overlay. I think they called it overlay in the title. But I couldn't figure out why I wasn't looking at more than one video for a minute, and then yeah, because they're all clipped together now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think something we'll be doing, and I know Las Vegas Shooting Archive, he's worked on some of this for specific instances, but at some point, once we get all the videos out, you know, it's going to be like a little bit of a puzzle to try to go back, fit all those together, and then hopefully publish them out. So you can say, hey, this is officer, you know, unknown number 10, and then we'll just have all the clips, you know, sequentially placed together. It would also tell us, you know, if there's any gaps in the footage, and that might be why they're releasing them in this fashion as well. Is maybe they're trying to, you know, maybe it's possible they're trying to hide something. Yeah. We'll be able to go back and fit them all together, hopefully, and to determine that. So, to your point, like, why are some of the clips only 6 minutes? So if it was an Axon 1 camera and they filmed for 36 minutes, what you would see is a 30-minute clip and then a 6-minute clip. And so we should be able to eventually fit those shorter clips, like the 6-minute ones, back with the, you know, their counterparts.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that you called so we could actually discuss it. I'm sure that you're not the only one that's wondered that.
Yeah, that's definitely good to know. Good to know.
Cool. And then let's see. So what is the, you kind of said this a little bit, but what is the leading theory in your mind, Brian? Like, and feel free to add a few details as to why you think it's the leading theory, or maybe you don't have one. It's up to you.
Well, I definitely have a theory. A lot of people think I'm crazy. My thought is that room 134 was rented by somebody other than Paddock in Danley's name. And that was used to stage the scene. So for instance, if I wanted to set Paddock up, right, I would rent and tie that room to his name. I would rent the room in his girlfriend's name, and he wouldn't get an alert from the hotel. He would never know. So then I could go stage all the guns, all the everything in that room. And, you know, there's the whole door lock thing. I actually did a video on that on my channel. That's, I think, the only video I have on this channel of it. But you have the door lock thing, which shows me there was another person. And it seems to me that the shooting didn't come from the hotel. It seems to me that the shooting came from somewhere near the hotel, on the hotel. But it didn't come from that room. There was no smoke detectors going off, nothing like that. They're saying, the officer says that he glassed him with the binoculars and he saw him standing about 6 feet back from the window. And, you know, dude, I fired automatic weapons. I tell you, those barrels smoke. 1,000 rounds, you're going to set something off. So essentially, I mean, you got Paddock for the patsy. You have somebody else shooting, so you set up the crime scene. There's time to escape. We know that now, that somebody had time to kill him, set up the room, and run out. And yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem to me that there's enough proof that bullets came from those windows, or at least 1,000 rounds.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory. I haven't heard that one specifically, but something similar to that's crossed my mind. I just, and to your point, Brian, I think for a lot of people in the community, 134 is 134 is still a question mark. We just don't know what happened in that room. We have zero body cam footage of inside that room. We have some from outside after the breach, but nothing actually from inside that room. We don't have, we don't have high resolution crime scene photos from inside that room, which, you know, we should still be able to get. So it's just a question mark for me. And yeah, I mean, it's an interesting theory. I think there is, if you haven't seen it, there has been one video that surfaced that seems to show smoke coming out of 32135.
I have seen that video. Okay. And I've heard that it's doctored. I don't know if it's doctored or not. I'm not going to say anything on that. But here's what I'm looking at with that video is you have police officers in the venue. You have my buddy, who ex-military, in the venue, and these guys are saying that they could smell gun smoke. They could smell gunpowder. That video with the smoke blown out the window, the smoke was going the other direction, away from the concert venue.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Make sense.
Yeah. One of the officers and one of the body cams says that he can smell gunpowder or gun smoke.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. The wind was going northwest at, I think, 5 miles per hour. I don't know at that height, but that's what the reading was at that time, which is away from the venue, because the venue is to the east of Mandalay Bay. So yeah, the smoke was blowing the other way. So how those people smelled gun smoke, it was not likely from Mandalay Bay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I mean, the whole helicopter thing too. I definitely don't think any rounds came from the helicopters. I think that's kind of a crazy theory. Believe it or not, I don't care what people believe. I don't have a problem with anybody that they believe anything. I even like Alan, but right. Every good story needs a antagonist. So
he keeps us in check.
It makes me strengthen my theories. But I see the helicopters in there, and I saw the Brian Shields video recently where he timed out the helicopters, their landing times, and showed that Maverick came down, or I get the two mixed up. Maverick or Sundance came down with clients and had time to go tell Sundance that there were bullets flying through the air, and they didn't. So Sundance took off. So what I think happened with the helicopters is they got radio going. There's bullets coming out of Mandalay Bay out of this side. So you see them hovering on the other side of Mandalay Bay, staying away from it. I think that's what people are seeing. They're hiding.
Yeah, so it's totally possible. I think there is some interesting helicopter activity, I think, that happened. I haven't looked deeply into the helicopter things because so many people have done that. But I know Mr. Burgundy had put out a couple videos. But there is some unexplained helicopter activity, but there is no evidence showing that shots were fired from helicopters, and that's a leap to make. That's a jumping to conclusion. You know what I mean? And that's a dangerous way to think, unless you're just speculating. But there's nothing that has drawn that link that I've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine like a exfil situation where the guy who killed Paddock, if that is the case, escaped to the roof and got pulled. I could see that. Or I could see the other shooters, if there was other shooters, being exfilled from other spots. Yeah. Yeah. So who knows? Right. But honestly, how hard is it to run away in a crowd of people like that?
Exactly. I mean, Vegas is a great place how hard is it to run away if people know that you're a shooter? Really hard, right? Because there's just so many people. Yeah. How hard is it to blend in, though, if nobody knows who you are? Very easy, right? There's no better place probably, except for maybe like New York City, or it's just so crowded in Vegas, especially when the kind of thing is happening. If you just were wearing regular clothes and just walked out of the venue, nobody would probably think twice about you specifically, just because there's so much chaos going on.
Yeah, it's insane. And I think the shots from the helicopters, I think there's a lot of jumping to conclusions going on, like the tape on the door. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the investigators, and I haven't been putting out a ton of videos on the shit, so I don't want to get too but because I appreciate everybody's work. I watch everybody's work, and I thumbs up everybody's work. Everybody does a great job. But I think that a lot of people are too far into their investigation because, we don't have the motive for Paddock. We don't have him actually tied to the weapons. So, I mean, to me, it's like logic. The smoke detectors in the room didn't go off from 1,000 rounds, but they went off from a breach. So, it's
Yeah, it's
Logic,
odd,
man.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you're saying we haven't even gotten to the point of establishing it was Paddock, and we're already jumping ahead, right? And saying,
Yeah.
well, here's how he did it, and here's his finances and stuff, when we
Right.
haven't even established that it was actually him. Yeah, I can see that for sure. I tend to think about things from many different angles, but I think that one of the great things about this community is we've got a pretty good core group of people. And so there's almost enough people for people to kind of go down those rabbit holes a little bit. Hey, if the helicopter people want to continue on the helicopter thing, more power to them, right? Like they can continue to do that. And then, other people can go down other rabbit holes. And then there's people like you and maybe a few others that are kind of staying more general and saying, hey, let's just figure out Paddock first. I think that's actually, and to some extent, a benefit, so long as you stick around and the other people that are, interested in the bigger picture, I think stick around and make sure that we, kind of stay on track. I think it will be interesting to see what happens after the FBI report comes out. Man, I hate waiting. I've been patient long enough,
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, is, we don't even have the FBI report and people are saying, well, it was Paddock and they said it's Paddock. It's like, the FBI took over the case from LVMPD. So LVMPD, what their report is junk, really. Anyways, they couldn't even do a proper investigation because they were kicked off of it.
Right, exactly. So I think there's limited information in there. I've speculated that maybe the FBI report, I looked at a couple other reports they put out. I speculate that maybe it will be 10 times the length of the FIT report, but obviously I'm just hoping.
Yeah, you hope.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Aaron Rouse's last interview when he talks about how many people they interviewed and how many agents worked on it. I mean, it was, hundreds of agents. They interviewed thousands of people, in many, many countries. So I would expect it to be pretty thorough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so let's go to the last question. What else would you like to share about the Vegas shooting for others? Is there something you think people aren't paying enough attention to?
I think, well, I just did a video on the whole lock thing. I know that's just been a horse that's been beaten to death. But like I own a construction company. I used to be a door and window installer. So I know a thing about doors and windows and locks and all that stuff. So I did a really good video on lock sensors, essentially, and how they work and why you can tell that there was a second person from the door report, because of the way door sensors work.
Oh, here it is up on your channel. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You can link anybody who's a moderator on your channel or the owner of the channel can link my channel on the chat there.
I did. Yeah, I posted a link earlier. I'll post it again here, and I've got it pulled up. I don't know if you can see the image, but I've got it pulled up on the screen as well. So I'll paste a link here to the door report on Brian's channel if anybody wants to check it out.
Yeah, beyond that, I'd say, yeah, I think here in the future we're going to get maybe some more information on people that were silenced on the thing from the FBI, and then go, this doesn't make sense now that the report comes out.
Interesting.
I think that we'll probably have more people come forward in the community here. Because like for me, I haven't talked to anybody in the community until the last couple of weeks. I've really just been keeping to myself. But I think that as more people, I don't know, just kind of get involved and start chatting, I think more information, more brains will come together. And I think it's like the last guy said, it's really important for everybody to just be open to any theory, even the helicopter theories, because as I always say, it's the city of illusion, man. Chris Angel floated over the Luxor.
So, you know the truth. Well, yeah, there's there's no, I don't think there's any city in the world that has more magicians in it. So it's a point well taken, And not only that, the FBI has been known to work with magicians So I mean, I won't go too deep into that, but people can Google about that. There is the bonus question if you want to answer it, Brian, which is there anything you'd like to plug? We got your channel here. I posted it in the link, but any other, you said you don't, you're not that involved with other YouTube channels. And I think you mentioned maybe a couple, but is there anything you'd like to plug before we move on to the next person?
No, you guys got like everybody to focus on the channels that are pumping out content, man. Doing a great job.
Great. Cool. Thanks.
Thank you very much, man.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you calling in, man. We'll see you around.
Have a good one.
Yep. Take care. All righty. Hey, I've got another person connected here, Danny. Danny, we'll get to you in just one moment here. I just want to finish up and with MF's questions. So we went through the last three earlier here. Let's just get his number 4 in. Question number 4 is, what is the leading theory in your mind? MF says, I lean, but am not married to the theory/hypothesis that Stephen Paddock did the shooting. That shootings from Mandalay Bay, in my opinion. Amateur shooting skills, bought ammo from Hague. Lear intriguing, maybe others involved. Okay. I'm not sure what Lear means, L-I-R here. Maybe you can shed some light on that, MF. And then question number 5, what else would you like to share about the Vegas shooting for others? Is there something you think people aren't paying enough attention to? MF says, needing more attention, A, rogue helicopter, truth tracker. Okay. Can we see or hear it in the body-worn camera? I think I know what video you're talking about. It's very interesting. And then, did Stephen Paddock get an appendectomy? Which is a question, I guess, for Eric. If anybody on this stream didn't see my last stream, we had a special guest I was very roundabout way. So if you recognize this name, Eric, then I would go look at that other stream here. My last stream with Rodney Peterson. Some interesting stuff happened there. MF, did you want to answer the bonus question, or did I miss it, MF? And then we'll get to Don here in just a minute. Or Danny, excuse me, Danny. Oh, okay. Lear means lock interrogation report. Don, thanks for clarifying that. And MF. So the lock interrogation report is intriguing, maybe others involved. Yeah, I think UFO Hunters put out some work on that recently. Does seem very interesting how somebody attempted to enter 32134 from the outside and was denied, and then the door was opened from the inside. How did that happen? That is a mystery still. MF says, for the bonus question, plug Sean Grimm's channel. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm not, then I apologize. Sean Grimm is this channel right here. Oop, this one right here. I believe this is the right one. Yep. All right. Let's bring Danny on. Danny, I've got you muted. You're going to have to unmute yourself, it looks like. There should be a mute button on your screen. Yeah, that's Sean Graham Connery to you. How does Sean Connery reply when you ask him what time Wimbledon is? Tennis. It's a really bad joke. Sorry, guys. I've still got you on mute, Danny. If you can unmute yourself.
Okay.
There you go. There you are. Yeah, I can hear you now. How you doing?
All right. Pretty good. You?
I'm great. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks for calling in and deciding to join our conversation here. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah. Hopefully it works out. So far, it's been a little rocky, but
yeah,
you know, we'll trudge right along.
Out how to do it myself? I wasn't set up for it, so.
Well, you sound great.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you instead of typing all the time with my, with my one finger.
Oh no. I hope that's not true.
Yeah, well, my one finger, I type with one finger.
Oh, you're a hunt pecker, like
Yeah,
type.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I worked with somebody in one of my past jobs, and she could literally type faster than me. I'm like a 50 word per minute typer. She could type faster than me with that method. So hey, man, if it works for you, I say go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's get started into the questions here, Danny. First one is, what is your name? Feel free to stay anonymous or give your real name.
Yeah, we'll just stay with Danny Diesel.
Works for me. All right. And then where are you from? Feel free to keep it as general or specific as you'd like. You can say like the world or,
Yeah. I was born in Omaha, Nebraska. So I'm a Go Big Red fan.
Nice.
But then I moved up here to Michigan.
Michigan.
Michigan. Holland, Michigan.
All right. Great. And then,
I'll go ahead.
Okay. And then question number 3, how did you get involved with researching the Vegas shooting? Like what caused you to get involved? And when was that that you got involved?
Well, it was the day after. My wife and I woke up and they were on the news. As soon as I turned on the news, we saw it. And after watching it about, 20 minutes, if that, I started immediately telling my wife, I said, this is a Second Amendment issue. It seemed to me like there was an awful lot of, I like to call it the grocery list of things they want to ban.
I see. So you immediately thought they were going to go after that it was like a ploy to get rid of guns, like that kind of Second Amendment issue, or
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Like a slow but steady nitpick at the Second Amendment. Because I remember the day we were watching the news, one thing after another. We kept hearing reports that we found box of tracers, and then they said body armor. They found later on in the day. All these things kept popping up, and it was just it was a huge long list. The bump stocks were the major part.
Right. Right off the bat. Right. We're really early. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, I'm surprised. I think I've commented to people. I'm surprised they didn't find bayonets to the guns
to ban the bayonets. Well.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's like one of the last caller or the one before. He said it's changed his life, and it has. It's kind of a crazy issue. I hate to say that it's like every day it's on my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you saying that. I think that's true for a lot of us. I think that there is a large portion of the population that's started to forget, but I think there are those of us that are still impacted by it daily. You're in Michigan. The last caller was in Phoenix, and then we have Eddie in Las Vegas. It's just been 3 callers. We've spanned a good portion of the United States. You know what I mean? So and I'm sure if we took a poll here, we would see people from all over the world. It's been impactful for sure.
And so you're the WEG, is it WEG OG?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I've heard people say Ouija, and I don't know.
Well, Ouija is actually somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is a guy named Luigi, Santa Claus, I believe is his name. He might be in the chat or not. He goes by Ouija sometimes, but it's short for Luigi. My name, my pen name is just WEG OG. Sometimes you will see Mr. Burgundy call me Weggy, but I think he's the only one. And that's, of course, going to get confused with Ouija, Weggy. Oh my gosh, they're almost the same thing. But yeah, most people just call me Weg, and I'm pretty good with that.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And when I think I was commenting to you yesterday, and it was coming up with a different name. On
stream, or where was that at?
I think or was it today when we were commenting?
Huh.
I can't remember.
I don't know either.
I thought it said something else, but I didn't want to say it if you don't want it want me to say it. I don't even know who I'm talking to anymore.
Weg-og is fine. I go by Weg-og. It's just I've been called much worse, but I'll just go with that.
All right. Okay.
Nostradamus. Maybe that's what you're thinking of. That's my handle on Twitter. I think it's also appears on YouTube and also on Facebook. Is that what you maybe saw? Nostradamus?
No, it was a name. It started with a B.
Okay. Nope, not me.
Oh, okay.
My real name does not. I will confirm my real name does not start with a B.
Okay. All right.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Very good. Very good.
And then so we got where you're from, and we got how you got involved, and then so what's the leading theory for you, Danny? Like what's the what are you leaning towards, if any theory at all?
Well, that's the biggest part, right? I've been jumping around back and forth on the fence, trying not to believe that it's all fake.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people I've always I have a lot of compassion for human life after being in Iraq, and even animals. It's hard for me to mow my lawn, and if I see a toad jumping across, I got to stop and wait for him to pass. So I try not to want to get driven that way, but I'm telling you, with all this stuff I'm seeing, as far as, to me, it's like there's two different events. There's this fake event that all this information is being disseminated that I just can't grasp. It's almost like it's just a whole different world.
Yeah, it's interesting because have you, I mean, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but have you been to Vegas since the shooting?
No. I was in Vegas one time and I was 14, I think.
Yeah. Okay. It's been a while.
Yeah. So
yeah, I would encourage. I mean, if you really want to get a sense for it, I would go to Vegas. If you have the means by which to do it, and just get a feel for, talk to some of the people. I think that's a lot what pushed me over the edge, to be honest, is when I came out to Vegas for the protests, I guess, because I actually came out to two of them, but it was the second one that I came out to and met a couple of the victims, and it was around that time, around January, February for me, that kind of pushed me over the edge. But I'm like you, I don't know reality from, it's hard to know where the delineation of what really happened and what didn't happen is, because I think there are some things that we, especially for us kind of researchers, because you see people putting all kinds of information out on their YouTube channels, and it's hard to know what to believe,
Yeah, absolutely. And if I see videos where there's people running around and they're claiming they've been shot. One girl specifically had been shot in the back and the neck, and she walks into an ambulance on her own and sits down, and you could see the blood on her back because all she had on was her underwear. Now that's impossible. I've seen what rifle rounds do to humans, and it isn't nothing that we're seeing.
Does it matter what kind of ammo was being used? I think he was using like some kind of, whatever it's called, frangible ammo.
Those polymer tips. Those would be even worse than what a full metal jacket would do. Those are designed to explode and transfer all their energy into the tissue. And funny you bring that up. On my screen right now on my iPod, I got the first fit report. Where he's got his little scuba mask.
Yeah, the blue hose.
Yeah, his little worktop with the drill. And on that table, there's 4 rounds. Looks like they're 223 rounds, and there's you can see the bullet tip in one of them, so they're live rounds.
And they haven't been fired yet.
No, and the polymer tip on the very tip of the one that you can see is white. So. Yeah,
does that mean it's a certain kind of round?
I realized this today, and when I was watching another YouTuber's video about the snorkel and the blue hose, and I saw her. She used Okay, and then it goes off into the final fit report. The same picture shows those rounds as being empty casings.
What?
So the white
Really?
tip is, yeah, absolutely. It's just another one of those, what in the hell? What am I
Yeah,
seeing?
another one of those things where something's changed between the different photos. That's one of the reasons I think one of the things on my wish list is the full. He's got this
Hey,
the
there's
other
that little,
Danny
yeah, there's
connecting
that little
again.
guy.
Yeah, so he put himself on mute this time. Maybe I did that. So the what on my wish list is the the fit report photos. I want to see those actually in full res, and full resolution versions of them, because what's in the fit report is very low resolution, and it's hard to really assess them.
If we ever get those full resolution pictures, that'll be the day this all explodes.
Could be.
Well, they've obviously they've manipulated these photos. There's no arguing that point as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's possible, and the higher resolution they are, the harder it will be to have them have been modified. And there's no reason, according to the NPRA, there's no motivation that they could have to
shines upon my feet. I've walked up yards and I've
guys trolling hard. There's no reason they should have to not release those in full resolution. In other words, the Nevada Public Records Act requires them to release. The judge's orders under the Nevada Public Records Act requires them to release all the evidence. So if we request those, they should have no reason to not give them up. So it will be interesting once we go after those.
Yeah, keep your fingers crossed, because
I will.
Just like with those the white polymer tip disappearing from one fit to the next fit report. It's ironic that when they showed us the final report with those 100-round mags, they all had red tips. So that's what's leading me to believe why they got rid of the white tip.
Interesting.
So that it wasn't contradictory,
So that it didn't, contradict the theory.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next question,
Sure.
Danny. Last question is question number 5. What else would you like to share about the Vegas shooting for others? Is there something you think people aren't paying enough attention to in our community that they should, pay more attention to or look deeper into?
Oh, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I think everyone's overlooking and just saying nothing to see here, but I think that list is too long.
If you had to choose maybe the top one, what would that be for you?
That
you wish people would look into further.
I'd like to know. One of the key things that sticks out is I did a quick video about that Ford Raptor parked next to Paddock's van. That's crazy.
The firefighters.
Yeah.
Raptor that ended up being over by Melissa Ramirez, right?
Yes, it's the same truck that picked up Melissa Ramirez's body, and then it ends up, I don't know, it was like 25 feet away from Paddock's van.
Yeah.
In a how does that get explained rationally?
Yeah, I mean, it's odd, right? I don't know if I've seen a rational explanation for that. So that's a good point. I think somebody should.
The firefighter that was driving it was from California, and he was off duty. So let's say he was staying at that hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah. Let's say he was staying at the hotel. But then why would he be over by Melissa Ramirez's side? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, no. If he had his truck outside and he ran to go get his truck so he could help out, I could see that part. But being parked next to Paddock's van means when he was done picking up Melissa and other people and helping, that means they allowed him to go up
back in the garage, right?
Yeah, and park next to a van full of explosives.
Yeah, that's a completely valid point. I agree with you. I think maybe if somebody hasn't looked further into that, it'd be interesting for somebody to do that. Why they would have allowed him, an off-duty, out-of-state firefighter, to come back into the crime scene effectively, right?
Yeah, that's one of that bothers me quite a bit. And then, and then today I was texting you or commenting back and forth with you about the tanks and that new video.
Yep.
Where at first I thought there was a giant burn mark, like a 6-foot burn mark.
Yeah.
Right in the center, smack dab in the center of that tank where the other one should have been. But after, I think Mike Turber and yourself both said, when I asked you guys what you think you saw in there, you guys both said that boom lift.
Yeah.
And I had seen the boom lifts because I was going frame by frame on it, but I didn't want to, they were kind of fuzzy and blurred out,
Yeah, the only reason I knew that was there is because I saw another photo somewhere, maybe it was a video, and there was the shadow of it, and I was like, how is it possible that the shadow is hitting the fuel tank? Because the lighting would have to be lower than that boom lift in order to cast the shadow upwards. But I figured it out, and that is actually in a number of videos and photos that I've seen since. But yeah, it had me a little baffled that, like, for a little while I was like, wait, where did this thing come from? And it was, in fact, it was just right out in the parking lot. I don't know if they used it to put up, the lights or what have you, but it was there. It appears to have been there during the shoot.
Figure that out, because I was talking with Mr. Burgundy, and he mentioned to me that those boom lifts weren't there the night of or the next morning. They weren't there. But I've seen them in the FBI cleanup videos. They're in there, and they're also in the helicopter shows them the infrared helicopter video.
Oh, okay, the flyover video. Yeah,
it shows them plain as day. There's like 3 of them.
Interesting. Maybe they bring, because it was the last night of the festival, so maybe they brought them in for the last night, and then maybe they needed to use them for something else. I don't know. After the fact, it's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, that's when I get my computer working. I have an Apple MacBook, and it's acting up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mine does that every once in a while too.
This thing's I've had Apple on the phone with me trying to get it fixed, and it's doing this decrypt thing that they told me could take 3 days in it.
Oh my!
I'm thinking I got shut down by certain people that they're trying to stop me from doing any videos or something.
That might be the case.
Not that I'm not that good at making videos.
You never know. Be careful.
Yeah.
Well, I hope your computer makes it out alive. I know.
Well, when it does,
it doesn't sound that great.
Videos for you guys.
Great.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say hi to everybody that's watching. How many you got on there?
78 viewers, it says right now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then is there anybody you wanted to plug, your own channel or any other channels? Anything you'd like to recommend to people here as we wrap up with you, Danny?
I guess just my buddy Alan Dion and WebTech.
Great.
And I know they really love me.
I'm going to take your word for that. I don't know that not to be the case. So
okay.
All right.
Well,
thanks.
Thanks for having me on, Weg.
Yep. Thanks, Danny. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
take care.
Take care.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my screen again here because I've got answers from David Sternman. So he says what is your name? He says, my YouTube is my real name. Please don't stalk me, anyone. So definitely don't stalk David Sternman. I'm just kidding. I know you guys won't give him a hard time. And then where are you from? Don says, from New Jersey originally, then all over the world, presently in the Southeast. Cool. All right. And then how did you get involved with researching the Vegas shooting and when? Don says, I watched intently during the first couple of days, like most, and quickly realized something seemed off. Then I discovered that a survivor was someone I was in Afghanistan with. Hooked since. Wow. Crazy how that, tied in. You hear those stories a lot. Very far-reaching effect. What was the leading theory in your mind? Feel free to add a few details as to why. Don says, I don't have a theory I'm married to. I definitely believe that LE is intentionally holding, that's LE, Lombardo, is intentionally holding info for, law enforcement is intentionally holding info for a reason. And there's too much circumstantial evidence of extra people involved to ignore, in my opinion. What else would you like to share about the Vegas shooting for others? Don says, I plan on doing videos at some point, like many others. It seems the best way to convey all the research I've done. I don't think people grasp the magnitude of all the inconsistencies or pre-planning. Yep. Agreed. And then unless I missed it, Don, did you have an answer to the bonus question? Did you want to recommend any channels or anything you'd like to plug? Yeah, I don't see the answer to the bonus here. I know we're on just a little bit of delay here, so I'm just waiting to see if you respond. No bonus question. No bonus answer, I should say. Don just wants to just all the hard work others have already done. Yeah, big shout out to everybody, I guess. Yeah, right. You know, everybody up to this point that's connected on the line has mentioned just kind of unity in the community. You know, and I'd just like to chime in with that as well. You know, I think the more that we work together and continue to not let our differences divide us, but help us to paint a better picture of what happened, I think will benefit us in the long run. And if you know me, and you know, for those of you that know me personally have met me, you know, that's something I'll always stand for. It's just us all working together to figure out the truth. I think the truth is what we're all after ultimately, and anybody that's not, I don't know what their motive is, but I think that those that are here honestly and not up to something are all here for the same thing. What's up, Xander? Xander is actually one of the people that I met at the one of the protests, the one in front of LVMPD headquarters. If he remembers me. Lots of conversation going on, guys. Loving it. Does anybody else want to? I've got the questions up on the screen. If you would like to post your answers in the same manner that Don and MF did, you're welcome to just paste them into the chat. I've got slow chat turned on right now, so you won't be able to post but every 30 seconds. But I'll just capture them and copy and paste them here. Or if anybody else wants to call in here, I'm going to post the link again. If somebody who wants to be brave and connect like others have done, here is the link. The audio is probably trailing a little bit the chat, but you should see it there in the chat above. Jay Leal says, thanks, Weg, for doing this. I think this idea will grow into something amazing. Thanks, Jay. I hope so. I hope as long as it, you know, continues, as long as we continue not to get trolled too much by that Danny child that called in, just like trolled hard, I think we'll be all right. Maybe there would be a better, I think maybe publishing out the Google Hangouts link in the manner that I did may be a risky move. So I'll try to think of a better way to do that. Maybe I'll post that on, I don't know, somewhere else. Amara Schmitz says, can you even call from another country? Not that I speak good English, so I better write chatting. It's up to you. You can. I mean, it's just the internet. So there's no Hangouts is just, as far as I know, worldwide, unless it's like blocked in your country or something like that. So you can connect that way, or you can just post your answers if you want. Don changed his mind and wants to take advantage of the bonus question. He's recommending UFO Hunter UK's video on the 135 lock. And I just, there we go. So Don's recommending this video here. Mandalay Bay operations door access. My opinion, you decide. I agree. This bothers me a bunch. That we don't have it figured out yet, and I won't stomp on UFO Hunter's explanation of it. You should just go watch the video if you haven't yet. He does a great job explaining it. Way better than I probably ever do. Do justice anyway. I'm actually surprised with the slow chat that we've still got such a busy chat. I don't know. What do you guys think about the slow chat? Would love to hear your feedback. Is it too disruptive? Would you rather it be turned off, or does it need to be turned up to like 60 seconds to keep things a little bit more digestible? You're welcome, Don. Does anybody have any questions for me? I guess that I could, I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions really about anything. If I don't want to answer, I'm not going to answer it, but you're welcome to ask me anything you want. But I prefer not to just sit here in silence. I can play music, I guess. The music doesn't work very well when I'm doing the Hangouts on air. Brian, yeah, Brian says I hate slow-mo. Yeah, it can be frustrating if you're used to being able to just like. And then One Hawk says 60 seconds. Yeah, my main complaint about it is that I love to keep up with the chat while we're going while we're doing the live stream, but I just can't. It's just too busy. I'd like to say I can multitask that much, but I can't. One Hawk Sober says, Weg, what do you think about Alan with the smiley face? Okay. I'll tell you, Alan, I'll tell you how I feel about you. I think that I don't think I would tell you anything that you don't already know about yourself. Alan is very blunt about his opinion, but he's also, I think, very stably minded. He's very connected to if there's clear evidence of it, then it happened. Otherwise, it didn't. It's very close to like what I would consider the scientific method. However, no, I don't even have to say however, but he's on one end of the spectrum, right? And then on the other end of the spectrum, we've got people that say shots came from helicopters with zero evidence of that actually taking place, other than there was strange helicopter activity. So he's just on one polar end, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that we can't converse. And that's, I think, one of the points of it is that Alan's here. Alan is not blocked from my channel, and I won't block him from my channel unless he, breaks one of the rules. Because I think that having those polar ends of the spectrum, and if, by the way, if Johnny Hoover came in, I wouldn't block him either, because I think it helps for us to find the truth within that spectrum. And maybe it is on one end of the spectrum. I don't know. Maybe evidence will come out saying it was helicopters. Maybe the official narrative will be proven to be true, and there will be no cover up. But I think it's healthy for us to all have a voice to some extent, as long as people are being respectful and not abusing, not name calling, things like that. Like as far as I go, if I say something and it's a theory that I have, attack the theory as much as you want. Say, hey, I don't agree with that theory. Here's why. But when it becomes personal, and now it's not the theory, like when Alan comes out and says, here's why that's not true and why, and then you go behind and you attack Alan directly and say, well, Alan, you're whatever, such and such a name. That's showing him disrespect when it's really his theories that you don't agree with. It's not him. You don't have anything personal typically against him, maybe his approach, but it doesn't make him a bad person. So that's my thoughts on Alan. I'm sure that he could. Alan, you're welcome to respond, call in if you would like, or do your own live stream and give your opinion on me. I can take it. I try to be, there's just a lot of ways to live life, right? And a lot of it has to do with your approach. I just try to be a really positive person because that's just, I found, brings me more joy in life. I also love to be very, highly critical of things, but just not of people. What's your theory? Question 5, Eddie's asking. Did I answer the questions? Maybe I didn't. I'll answer the questions. So my name is Gweg Og. I won't tell you my real name. Where are you from? I'm originally from Arizona. I think most people know that. How did you get involved with researching the Vegas shooting? I was intrigued from day one. I was sleeping when it happened. I woke up the next morning. Just like any other big events, I was kind of tied into watching videos. The more I dug, the less it seemed like anybody knew about it. And then when the Las Vegas Police Department, I was surprised at the lack of information. Typically after one of these big events, so there's a flood of information that comes out. When Vegas happened, it was the opposite. And that really struck me as odd. And that kind of wrapped me in. And then I was kind of on the sidelines for the first couple months until I decided on kind of a whim to reach out to a number of people, because I thought one of the problems with the community is much like we've talked about today, is that people weren't working together. So I wanted to devise some kind of place for people, or come up with some kind of place for people to get together. And so I reached out to a number of people. I emailed, tweeted, sent people private messages on YouTube, and I don't know, it was maybe 10 people. The only person that responded out of that group of people was UFO Hunter UK, and he was extremely speculative of me. So we conversed a little bit and established a little bit of rapport, and then that's when we started Voices for Vegas. So that's when I got more heavily involved, and then it's kind of all history from there. What is the leading theory in my mind? I mean, I don't know, guys. Like, I think I kind of mentioned this yesterday. I think we've been given a certain range of evidence, right? There is evidence that came outside of the LVMPD, but for the most part, what we've been provided has been from the LVMPD by way of the FIT report and by way of the evidence releases. So of course, all of that evidence supports what they're saying, right? If it didn't, it just wouldn't match. It would make people question more. So I think given the evidence we've been given, the most likely explanation for that evidence, what that evidence points to, is the official narrative from the LVMPD. However, I do think that the FBI is working with a much larger group of evidence. And so I look forward to their report. And there's just a bunch of unanswered questions for me too, guys. Just like everybody that called in said, there's just like, why this door lock stuff? Why, why do we hear what sounds like shooting? Well, I don't even want to go down that. I heard a video recently. I think it was in the last batch, not the one that came out yesterday, but last week's batch, that sounded a lot like a helicopter flying overhead shooting. But it's the first time I've actually heard what sounded like that, and it's not really corroborated from different angles. So take that for what you will. So that's the leading theory for me. But also, I'm not, like these other guys said, MF and Don, I'm not married to any theory. I'm open to anything. Like, I'm not going to commit. I'm not going to put the WEG stamp of approval on something until I'm 100% certain that's what happened. I might never get there. It might just have to be like I don't know, not a stamp of approval, but just like a most, best bet at some point. Question number 5 is, what else would you like to share about the Vegas shooting for others? Is there something you think people aren't paying enough attention to? I really don't. I mean, I do, and I think people could go deeper in some areas, but I think the biggest thing for me right now, the biggest focus is that we work together. I think that people are doing a good job researching things for the most part. People are going deep. But what I see is that we're dividing, and I think that we will have a lot more power if we look for places where we have common ground, where we can agree. Because that's where we'll be able to unite and say, hey, because here's what's going to happen. We're going to get to the end of the evidence releases, and it's not going to tell us the narrative. Joe Lombardo's already told us that. So there's going to be a period of time where we're going to have to work together to try to get what we need to get. And that's all I'm going to say. So yeah, I think we should start now working together. The bonus question is, anything you'd like to plug, your own YouTube channel or your favorites? I'm not going to plug my own YouTube channel. You guys are here, but I have my own favorite channels. Let's see if I can pull them up here. These guys. There's a couple others as well. So if you're not here, don't feel like left out, but yeah, check these guys out. All right. Sorry, I was ranting there for a minute. I'm going to go back and look at the chat here. I read your comment, Ellen. I mean, yeah. There's like a thin line between being argumentative or debating and trolling, right? There's like, so yeah, I get what you're saying though, Ellen. Official narrative, people need a psych ward, one Hawk Sober says. I'm sure that they would say the same about all us conspiracy theorists, right? So, we're all by nature, humans are crazy, I think. We all probably deserve to be in some kind of psych ward at some point in our lives. Myself included. Yeah, Kale said, it seems more people care about being first than being accurate or informative. I think that sometimes is the case. I don't know if you've ever read the book, the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, but one of the immutable laws of marketing is be first. So, I mean, there's something to be said. There's some power in that, I guess. But also it helps for people to go deep. The internet's a strange place because a lot of news organizations won't do due diligence before they come out. And then there's people, because they want to be out, they want to be first, first. They'll even say it in their news report. We're first with the news. Like Was anybody asking you to be first, or do we just want the truth? We just want the truth. You don't always need to be first in order to get the truth. But then there's people on the internet. I mean, there are some people on here that have YouTube channels that only put something out once a month or once every couple weeks because they're doing research, and then a video, or they're doing video build, like what Mr. Visual has done with some of his stuff, which takes hours upon hours and upon hours to build out those animations and stuff. And then he puts out a video. So, you know, a lot of times the mainstream media isn't going to give you that. At the same time, we don't always see things as early as we could. Xander says, seriously, does anybody have any explanation for the lights between the hotels during the shooting? I'm amenable to any explanation. I think the lights were some kind of aircraft. I don't think anybody argues that. At least I haven't seen anybody argue that. Whether what the aircraft was doing, that's, I think, up for debate. What was its purpose there? I'm just reading the comments, guys, here. Sorry for the dead air. It's like the first rule of radio, I think, is never have dead air. I don't know if you've ever listened to the radio for like hours upon hours, but then like if they make a mistake and there's like a silence of like 5 seconds, it seriously sounds like you're like, what? Like even just 5 seconds, you think like your radio's broken. You're like, what's happening? And then they come back on, you're like, oh, you know, you just get so used to like the noise in your ear that it just sounds so alarming. I think television's that same way. If you just have television, you're just watching one of the 24-hour news stations, it's like any chance where you have a moment to just have your own thoughts for a second is just alarming to you. You're like, wait, why am I allowed to think right now? I need to, and then they come back on air, you know. It's just think about how that is for you, like how that causes you to be and what they're doing. I think, yeah, the dead air is giving you a chance to catch up on chat, Ellen. Yeah, so I'm not afraid of dead air. I think even in conversations, people are allowed to, or afraid to have there be times where it's silent. I think it's actually a good thing. You know what I mean? If you can be together with somebody and be silent, I think it says something about you being able to be comfortable with somebody else. I mean, think how awkward if you've ever been on a date and when there was just nothing to talk about, how awkward that was. It's because it was only awkward because you had something at stake. You had something to look forward to with that person. If it's just you and your best friend or your family member, you can sit there for, half an hour in silence. It's just like, there's just nothing. There's nothing for you to impress that person with. So sorry to get philosophical. I do that sometimes. Geez, even with the slow mode, guys, it's like impossible to keep up with chat here while I'm talking. Thanks, Xander. Appreciate it. Is there a way to make a list of every channel doing Las Vegas? That's actually a really good idea for a project, Amara Schmitz. Do you want to volunteer to do it? I think actually, I want to say like, did Bob have something going at one point? And by the way, was Bob in chat, by the way? I thought he was. I thought I saw him for a minute. I was worried about that guy. But I thought he had, here you go. Bob has a list here of 175 YouTube channels covering this topic. This stopped being updated, I think, in December. But Amara, I'm sure if you wanted to start a list and send it over to Bob, I'm sure he would oblige you with updating this list. It's interesting to look back at some of these channels, by the way, because like what happened to Jersey Steve? Does anybody know? Is he still putting out content? Like a lot of these channels have just gone by the wayside, and they were so active at one point, right? Huh. Nothing Vegas. All this stuff gone. This guy's still putting out content. 5x5 News old and 5x5 News new. But yeah, it's crazy. MF says, I'm impressed with you. You've been doing a lot of talking. Oh, okay. I'm going to take that as a compliment, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to become one of those people that loves to hear the sound of their own voice. Like I just love to hear. I don't like doing the streams where it's just me talking because I don't know. I like listening back to them and it's just me talking. Ugh. I'd much rather. That's why I wanted to do this call-in show and hear you guys' voices too, and you know, make it more conversational. I guess was my intention. Jersey Steve got tagged by YouTube, so he went dark. Then he got sick. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't hear that. He's still putting out ghost stuff. Okay, good. I actually had a coworker, legit. So he left his job to become a full-time ghost hunter. Not even kidding. Like he bought all the equipment. Really cool guy. I was like, why were you even in IT, man? If this was your passion, like I was just so happy for him. He was just loving it. I don't know if he ever found a ghost, but man, he was hunting. I'll tell you that much. Thanks, MF. Some of the things you guys say, it's probably not meant to be a joke, but man, life's just too short to not just enjoy. When somebody gets upset, a lot of times my initial reaction is just to find it funny. Hey, Eddie, welcome back. Thank you for saving me for talking to myself endlessly. Can you hear me? Eddie, can you hear me?
Well, it sounded like you needed it, my friend.
Are you on a...
I thought I'd save you and jump in. You all right?
Appreciate it. Are you on a delay? I think we'll call it. Well,
fine.
Okay, great. I think I'll cut the stream here in just a bit. Here, let's see how long we've been going. Let's see. That can't be right. This says I started streaming 14 minutes ago.
Clearly I am. Here, let me call you back.
Oh, you're on a delay. Okay, all right. I don't think you disconnected. I don't think you disconnected, Eddie.
Hey, Wade, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here, but I don't think you disconnected. Oh, there you go. All right. I'm just gonna check and see how long we've been going, guys. I don't wanna do like an insert 4-hour stream. I don't have the heart. You're back. Can you hear me? Eddie.
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me? Was Unserve going to do a show tonight? I didn't know he was doing a show. We've almost been going 2 hours, guys. I think I'm going to call it. Let's just see if Eddie calls back in, and then we'll probably call it. What do you guys think about this format? Do you like it? You want me to do more of these? You want to do these again? Change it up some? What do you think? You know, I just realized I could put the chat up here. And then you can kind of see when I'm seeing things. Get an idea of the delay anyway. He usually does a show on Friday. Oh, Friday's tomorrow. Oh, but tomorrow, it is tomorrow in Australia. Well, I didn't mean... Oh, he does it on our Friday, on his Saturday. Okay, I think. Yeah, we're almost at 2 hours, Rock Girl. I think anything longer than 2 hours is just too much. Probably anything longer than 1 hour is too much, but multiple callers so I can debate Alan. Yeah, Brian. I'm surprised, Alan. I'm surprised you didn't call in, man. I thought for sure you were going to be one of the people that called in. Maybe next time. I don't like the slow chat, says Jeff. Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, because if I turn off slow chat, then there's no chance for that I'm going to be able to even have any kind of chance. Maybe I'll work it out with the moderators so that they can watch the chat for questions next time, and then they can private message them to me, and then I can turn off the slow chat. Yeah, Amara, I didn't decide till this morning that I was going to do it, so that's why you didn't get the notification. I'll try to give a little bit more advanced notice. I have stuff going on the next couple of days, so I wouldn't be able to do it until next week if I had waited. Yeah, I agree with you, Rock Girl. If you're participating live, it doesn't feel like it's like hours, but if you go back and watch somebody's recording of the stream, it does. It can seem like it's a lot longer. So for those people that are watching this back and weren't able to participate live, my apologies. Watch it on like 2x speed, even though you're at the end of the video now, so it's probably too late for that, but I think Eddie's trying to... Oh, Brian messaged me. Yeah, I got your message, Brian. I agree. Yeah, that's probably what we'll do, is I'll probably just have a chat going on with the moderators, and then that way they can pass things along if they're able to do it. 67 Fox Charlie got timed out. Yeah, 300 seconds. Okay, guys. So I don't know what 67 Fox Charlie did, but obviously not something good. So he got put in timeout. So there is a timeout function in YouTube chat, and it's just a 5-minute penalty basically. So it looks like that's what happened. It looks like when you did that, I didn't know this, but it looks like it deleted all his messages. Yeah. Yeah, Amara. Yeah, I was kind of prepared for that. That's why I was like, I was trying to keep this as casual as possible. I knew there's a good chance of technical difficulties. So even if you had dialed in and it was just whatever, I wrote, like I said earlier, I rolled with the punches. It would have worked out. We would have figured it out. I would say I'm not a perfectionist. I know many people here are, and I applaud them for that, but I am ultra persistent. So what I lack in perfection, I gain in persistency when I want to. I've run marathons and all kinds of stuff. So when I commit to something like Vegas, it's hard, it's hard for me. Not hard for me. I'm unstoppable, let's just say. But this kind of thing, I love jazz. I like things that are kind of more free form. Rock and roll is kind of that way. I'd much rather see rock and roll live when there's all the like little imperfections than hear it on a recording. Some people can't stand that, including a couple of my friends. They hate going to live concerts because they're like, it's so much better on the album. I'm like, are you kidding? It's not even the same thing. Rock and roll live is it's a completely different creature than on the recording. Even like a live recording, it's just not the same. If you're on your phone, Amara, then you would download the Hangouts app on your phone, and then you would want to make sure you're on Wi-Fi so that you're not using like your data. I don't know, maybe in the Netherlands you have unlimited data, and then you could just call in and it would be over the internet. You just use the Hangouts app on your phone. All right, guys. Doesn't look like Eddie's going to connect back, but we did talk with him earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and shut down the stream. I just really just want to say I appreciate everybody for participating. This was kind of an experiment of sorts, and I think it was somewhat successful, although we had a little bit of trolling in there, which made it a little bit more interesting. I just really appreciate the people that that connected in as well. And the people that answered the questions via the chat as well. So thank you all for participating, and everybody that watched, and for anybody that's watching the stream after, thank you as well. If you have any feedback as to how things went, please go ahead and put those in the comments on the video, and I will see you guys again real soon. Have a good night, everybody.